Banks are the most important part of every economy. Even the Fed is a bank, but it is different from other banks because it makes money. But what if I told you that every bank has the right to make money? You could start a bank and start making money, but there is an easier way to do it. Why spend so much money starting a bank when you can start a cryptocurrency and become a crypto billionaire overnight? At least that's how things have been going recently. If you think that cryptocurrencies are a scam, you probably don't know much about banks. So in this video, we'll look at 5 facts about money that banks don't want you to know, because if everyone knew them, the banking system might collapse. Or, as Henry Ford said, it's good that most Americans don't understand how our banking and money system works, because if they did, I think there would be a revolution by tomorrow morning. So if you're ready, give this video a thumbs up and make sure to check out our channel, where we also post videos about investing and money, as well as other things you might find interesting. Welcome to Wealthy Mindset, a channel where achievers and future billionaires gather to get inspired. Now, let's get back to the video, shall we? Takeaway number 1. It's a scam to keep your money in a bank. Let me ask you a question. How much interest do you get on your savings if you put them in a bank? At first glance, it seems like it would have to be at least a few percent to make sense, right? If you look at the numbers, though, it's not even close. So the best banks, like the Citibank, give less than 0.5%. There are some banks with higher rates, but they are still less than 1%, especially since rates are at their lowest right now. Consider it. Your money grows by 0.5%, but prices are going up by 2.5%. Your wealth is literally losing value every year. You should spend that money now instead of putting it in a bank. In a few years, your money will be worth much less than it is right now. And when inflation is skyrocketing like it is now, for example, the prices of assets, like homes and stocks, rise at a very fast rate, as we have seen over the last year or so. A bank is not a place to make money, but to store it. Takeaway number 2. Any bank can make money appear out of thin air. If I told you that banks make money, you probably wouldn't believe me because only the Federal Reserve is allowed to do that. It's where the dollar comes from, and the only place that can use that printing machine. But the way the banking system works, every bank in the country, or even the world, is allowed to make a certain amount of money based on how much money people have put in that bank. Let's say you put $1,000 in the bank. What do you think the bank will do with that money? If they kept it, they wouldn't even be able to pay you the pitiful 0.5%. So they lend it to someone who wants to buy a car or a house and get interest that is usually much higher than the 0.5% they give you. The average interest rate on a credit card is 20%. That is dozens of times more than what the bank will give you. The point is that the bank won't tell you who it will loan money to. When you check your account, the bank will show you that your money is still there, and you can take it out whenever you want. If your money is still in the bank, where did the bank get the money to lend to someone else? This is called banking with a fractional reserve. Banks can only keep 10% of the money that is put into them. The rest must be loaned out. For every $1,000 you put in the bank makes another $900 out of thin air and lends it to someone else, bringing the total to $1,900. The bank just made $900 out of nothing. It's not as hard as you might think, since the computer is just a bunch of numbers. Takeaway number 3. You can make money by borrowing from banks and investing in other places. Mark Zuckerberg got a 30-year mortgage for his Palo Alto home, which cost $5.95 million and is 3 miles from Facebook's main office, in July 2012. At the time, he was 28 years old and worth an estimated $15.6 billion, making him the 40th richest person in the world. Why would you go into debt if you have billions of dollars and can easily pay it off? If he wanted to, he could buy a dozen $6 million homes with cash and no one would bat an eye. So why take out a loan? The correct answer is that it's free money. Sounds unreal, I understand. Who would give you money for free if you already have $1 billion? I mean, unless it's for charity, why would someone give someone else free money? All of it comes down to interest rates. Remember how we said that banks give such a low return on investment, ROI, that it's not worth keeping your money there because it doesn't even beat inflation, so you're actually losing money. Well, it's the other way around in this case. In the US, the inflation rate is between 2.5 and 3%, so any money you borrow that is less than this rate is like getting money for free. The interest rate on Zuckerberg's mortgage was just a bit more than 1.05%. If you do the math, you'll see that the bank is the loser because the mortgage rate is lower than the rate of inflation. To do math, you don't have to be a genius. Let's say you borrow $1 million at a rate of 1.05% as an example. Before the pandemic, the average rate of return on a savings account was 2.4%. Now, it's less than 1%, but let's stick with 2.4%. Even if you put that $1 million in another bank, you'll still make $24,000 a year, but you'll only have to pay back the bank that lent you the money $10,500, 1.05% each month. Think about what you could do with $100 million or $1 billion. When you can borrow money for free, there's no reason to keep your own money in the bank when you could use it for more profitable things. Obviously, this might not make sense when we're talking about small amounts of money, because the difference isn't that big. But when it comes to big amounts, betting around 1, 2, or 0.5% could mean tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Takeaway number 4. The richer you are, the lower the interest rate. Remember that banks are businesses like any other, and their job is to make as much money as possible. They are responsible to the people who own shares in the company. And if their business model doesn't make money, they won't be able to stay in business. This is why they are much more likely to lend money to a rich person than to a poor person. When you're a billionaire, for example, the bank doesn't have to worry about you not paying back your loan. If something goes wrong and you can't make your monthly payments, you can easily sell part of your business to pay back your mortgage. This makes it almost risk-free for the bank to lend you money. In fact, this is how the banking system has changed over the centuries. Banks used to only work with nobility, or people who had a lot of money or assets that brought in money all the time, like land. Compared to a normal worker who could get sick, might not be able to work, or could just lose his job, this is a big difference. If you are barely getting by, it is very risky to lend you money. I know it's easy to blame banks for that, but give it some thought. Would you feel comfortable lending money to a friend who barely makes any money or a friend who has a business? Most likely the second one, no matter how harsh that sounds. So if you want a lower interest rate on your mortgage, a lower rate on your credit card, or just better terms when you borrow money, you need to do better financially first. A low mortgage rate is also a way for banks to get close to wealthy people, so that when they need a bigger loan, they will come to them. It works out well for everyone. Technologies like blockchain and cryptocurrencies promise to change this and make banking more open to everyone, and they probably will to some extent. In fact, banking has become so open to the public that everyone can use its services. Compared to a century ago, that's a big change. Takeaway number 5. Credit cards are like atomic bombs for banks. 70% of Americans who have credit card debt say they won't be able to pay it off this year. Think about what that means for a minute. Your credit card debt is not the same as your home loan. It's not the same as 3.5% a year. It's probably something like 20%. If you can't pay your credit card debt on time right now, what makes you think you'll be able to pay it in a few months, when it will be much bigger? In other words, 70% of Americans are on the verge of falling into the debt trap. 56% of the people surveyed said they had credit card debt for at least a year, and most of them will keep it for many years. About 8% say they don't know when they'll be able to pay off their debt. Nearly 20% say it will take them more than 3 years to pay off their debt. Most people spend money without thinking about how they will pay it back, which is how banks usually make a lot of money. They are used to a certain way of life and are willing to keep it even if they can't afford it. So banks keep calling you to try to sell you a new credit card. Don't get me wrong, using credit cards responsibly is a great way to build your credit score. But if you aren't good with money, you shouldn't fall into that debt trap. If you like this video, you'll probably also like this custom playlist I made just for you. It has our most popular videos on business, investing, and the stock market that could change your life. Now give this video the thumbs up it deserves, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.